Alright, so I've gone ahead and tweaked my bat just a little bit. Let me show you what I did. This is the bat flapping 001, and there is a bat flapping 00 that you can load up too. So in this one, I tweaked the motion of, let's go to number 1 here for our front view. That's a keyboard shortcut. What I did is I took this frame 0 and I actually tightened up the wings just a little bit. I also put a secondary motion just on these little bones here. So at frame 2, that bone actually has a little bit of lag to it, so that when it comes up, and then at frame 7, I'm going to press 4 so you can see this. Okay, so here's frame 7, and what we're doing is frame 0, it's where we were, as well as frame 8, so you would just hit create key at 8. But then frame 2, we actually want just a little bit of drag on this. So he's actually coming up, so we want that inner bone just like that, that's actually lowering that wing membrane a little bit as he brings his front claws up. And then when he gets here, the rest of the body is up here at 6. So at 7, you put a little lag on these like this. Like it's catching air. And then 8 is back at 0. So it's just another little lag that's on there that makes it look really good. The next thing is the back end was getting a little too much resistance from the large feet bone. And if you load up the first scene, you'll see that this back end here was actually getting some kind of chunkiness, and it wasn't allowing the mesh of the membrane to blend smoothly. It was actually cracking. So by taking each one of these bones, 2, 3, and 4, and opening up the properties, the rest length, making them smaller, actually gave the bone a little less influence, and then took the strength from 100 down to just 0.3%. And you can load this up and play with this just to see how their influence would be. So if I bring this back up to 100%, what happens is those bones influence this entire area. Well, we don't need that. We just want them just to hold things in place just for a little bit. And now the motion of the other bones blends nicely. And then we get a little bit of motion in the leg and feet, which is all we want. If you look at the toes right here, just a little bit. Okay. The next thing is the body itself is actually starting to kind of crack a little. See that? So we have two things we need to do. So we're going to press 2 on the keyboard to get to a top view. And I'm going to add a little bit of structure in here, kind of opposite of the legs. The way the legs were so strong and holding all that in place, nothing could affect it. This is kind of the opposite. These big, large shoulder bones are actually affecting this body. So the thing is, we created this model in Modeler, right? And we put the bones in there via skelegons. So I've always said that the bones have to belong to an object. So you would think, select the object layer and add a bone. But because we told this object to use bones from in the previous videos, we need to actually create our bones in the second layer. Otherwise, even though we put them with the object, they'll stay with the object. We're telling the object, override that and use the bones from a different layer. So layer 2, where our skelegons live, is where we're going to actually add a bone from layout. So 2 different types of bones living together. So we just click add bone from the setup tab, and you can see it jumps it right down the Z axis. It's great. Press the T key for move. And then let's move this here, and I'll press 1 on the keyboard just so I can see this and move it up, and then maybe 3 for a side view. And once I have that bone in place, I'm just going to move that here, press the P key for the properties, and then make it active. And you can see it actually dampens that whole area. And I'm going to show you one other thing. We're sitting here adding a bone and we're moving it, right? Well, there's another way you can do this that might be a little bit easier now that you know how to do skelegons, and it's draw bones. And it's right there, and I could literally just take it and draw a bone. Okay, so just another way to make a bone. Go back to this first one, make it active by pressing R or pressing the P key and hitting bone active. And then I can go down arrow to the next one, press the R key, And now let's press 4 on the keyboard and let's see how our shoulders look. Aha, the body's not collapsing as much, is it? So that's good, but there's still a little bit more we can do. So what I'm going to do is take one of these bones that are flapping, press the P key, and down here at the bottom there's joint compensation, compensation for parent, muscle flexing, parental muscle flexing, muscle bulge, and parental muscle bulge. And let's do this to the other one. And what these will do is give essentially various compensation to these joints when things happen. And I don't necessarily need this on these center ones, but just in case, we'll put those on. And so now, let's take a look at it from here. You can see that that body, especially when these wings are way up, looks like muscles. That's the way it should be. And it looks like I've actually got an extra keyframe in there somehow. Now our bat suddenly got drunk. I don't know what happened. He's been drinking. Let's take a look. I think when I was adding these, I might have created an unnecessary keyframe. I sure did. Take a look. Right there, 12. For some reason, so let's delete that. And the way you do that is hit delete key. Let's see if that works. I think we got it. And then the last thing is I see this other frame moving here. That's 8 and that's 0. That should be the same. So I'm going to select this bone right here. Right there. And at 8, actually it's at 7. 7, and then frame 8. It's actually looking different at 0. Now by adding just a little secondary motion on that inner bone, look how it looks like that membrane is actually just kind of like flapping in the wind, like it's a lighter kind of fabric. And all it is just that bone a couple of frames behind the other one. So when it comes down, this little extra curvature that we put in at frame 7 gives it the appearance that it's a lighter cloth. So that works well. So the last thing we need to do maybe is, well, there's two things. We got to put bones in the ears to hold them in place. And then we need to move the body a bit. So let's do this. We're going to go back to Objects, Layer 2. So I'm going to press 1 to get to my front view, or in this case, the back view looking towards the back. And under Setup, there's Draw Bones. And let's just go like this and draw this bone out for the ear. And then what I'm going to do is check this one because, of course, it's going to draw from the center. So we just need to move it down into the ear. Remember, I have bone X-ray mode on from this drop down right here. So I can see my bones. We're just going to position it. Looks good. And then we're going to make it active by pressing the R key. And then we're going to hit Draw Bones again. And we'll do it for the other ear. And these are not too hard to do. But remember, it's in the second layer where we're telling the object to use bones from. And then press the R key for scale. R key for scale. R key for rest. And now the ears stay perfectly in place. Very nice. Last thing to do is put some secondary motion on the body. Okay. His wings are flapping, so what happens? Well, when he comes up like this, when the wings are up, the body should go down a little bit. And we could just take the body itself. We don't have a null object or anything on here for the main body, and that's okay. We don't need one. Take the main body, and at frame 0, it's fine. Let's just go frame by frame. So the wings kind of come up. He should be coming down. So I'd say when the wings are at 4, he could be here. And as the wings kind of come back up, at 8, he could be back up here, which is also frame 0. Then we need to go to the graph editor, And we don't need to do all motions, but we will anyway. Post behavior is set to repeat. And really all it's repeating is the Y motion. That's 1. Let's take a look at it. So now the body is moving a little bit as those wings flap up and down. That works pretty well. So let's just do a little bit more with the head. So again, frame by frame by going right arrow. Okay, and we could do 4, but I think I'll do 3 just for a little bit of an offset. And what I want to do with the head is that we're going to select that bone, which will be a little more difficult to see in there. So we'll jump here to bones, select the head bone, and I'm going to hit rotate, which is the Y command, and I'm going to just rotate, not that way, just push it down a little. Now, the ears, I did not parent to that bone. So what is this head bone? This is bone 018. This bone, they need to be parented to bone 018. Press M for motion options. Now, here's the problem. These bones are parented to layer 2. If we go in here, what's going to happen to bone 018? Now, we never named our bones, but if we do that, are they going to stay in place? Yes, because earlier in the course I told you about parent in place. That is on. So when we set a parent, those bones will stay in place. And now when I move the head, those 2 ear bones stay with. So let's go back here now. Frame 0, we're going to put the head down a little bit. And as he comes up, we'll pull the head up a little bit. And then frame 8 should be the same as 0. So I'll go F to frame 0 and then create a key at 8. And so now that needs to repeat. Go to the graph editor, hold the shift key and select all, and post behavior is repeat. And again, we only did the pitch, but we'll repeat everything just in case we add another motion to it. And there is the bat just kind of pushing itself through the wind. And you could do the same with the feet and give them a little offset and work its way through. But now he actually has its own little kind of groove going. You can speed those up and change the timing, but I think that's going to work for us. So our bat flapping is done, and now we're going to get into instancing and flocking.